This is Bucket Talk, a monthly podcast taking you across America to meet the most badass tradespeople, industry leaders, and personalities. If you're looking to level up in the trades, you're in the right place. This episode of Bucket Talk, we're here with Hank Robinson, the engraver. We're out here in sunny Phoenix, Arizona.
Hell yeah.
And just want to get to know you a little bit better. I know we've crossed paths at a couple of different places, but I'm really interested in your story, your background. A lot of the projects you've done is super cool.
Hell
but take us as far back as you can go. Young Hank into the military and then into what you do now.
Hell yeah. So yeah, young Hank was a straight up screw up, man. Like horrible kid, man. Pretty much my story. I think my story starts with the military, obviously.
Yeah.
Joined right after 9/11. Some shit just hit me. I was 3 days after that shit happened. I was signed up. Yeah. So I had nothing going for me at the time, obviously, and just something just clicked in me, man.
Yeah.
So ended up spending 10 years in the Army. Did 3 deployments to Kosovo, Iraq, and Afghanistan, and just an infantryman all the way, man.
No.
I didn't know it at the time. Obviously, I really wasn't interested in kind of family lineage stuff, but like literally every male in my family since the beginning of Robinson's has served in the military.
Really?
So it was kind of cool after I figured that out. But yeah, no, something hit me, man. I really didn't know much about the Army.
Right.
I went in, took the test, and they literally gave me 2 choices. They said you could be a bus driver or infantry. And I was like, oh, shit, show me what this infantry stuff's all about.
Yeah.
They showed me some badass hoorah video.
Yeah.
And I was like, done, let's go. Yeah, and then the entire 10 years I was in, man, none but infantry.
Where's basic?
Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right from there, what was your first unit?
Vilsec. I was with 2-2 in Germany.
Okay. That's crazy. Is there any schooling for that, or you just go right?
No, yeah, just straight up infantry school. So it's basic, and then they do whatever, like the AIT for infantry. It's just like,
how long is that?
You wake up 16, 17 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you wake up and they're like, congratulations, you've graduated basic training.
Yeah.
No, and it's the same shit over and over. So.
No, that's crazy. So then you shipped out to Germany.
Yeah. So got to Germany, chilled there, just did some cool training. It was cool, man. Like 18 in Germany, you could booze, like partying, and there was a lot of influx of, young men coming in at the time. So met a lot of really crazy people, man. A lot of awesome friends that are like to this day diehard brothers. So it's definitely a brotherhood like no other.
And then first deployment was from Germany?
Yeah, from Germany to Kosovo. Yeah. And that was just a straight up peacekeeping mission.
Was that a 6-month tour?
Yeah. So we actually stayed a little bit longer than that for whatever reason, as far as relief comes. As soon as we get back to Germany, we do train up for Iraq, and then we get to Iraq February 2004.
Okay. Wow. How was Iraq?
Gnarly.
Yeah.
The first tour was insane.
Yeah.
Like it was still wild west type
stuff. And that
stuff,
was what, probably 06, 07?
No, 04.
04,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, we got into Iraq February 04.
No
Yeah, and we were our main spot was in Bakuba, which is just right outside of Baghdad.
Yeah.
So
they make videos about guys like you.
Oh yeah, there's some gnarly. I'm telling you, man, the craziest people that you'd meet or do the most heroic things, and like I can't even explain the amount of awesomeness that comes from young Americans going over doing, whether you like it or not, whatever's happening, we're there for each other and we're kind of fighting it, not for political reasons, but for us to come back home.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of funny. It was like threefold for me in my military journey, and it resonates with a lot of guys because it's like it's a form of non-conformity, even though you're conforming to military regulations. But like, I'm not going to college. I'm not doing that stuff. So you go, it's kind of a alternate path. But for me and for a lot of guys, it's like the only path, right?
Right.
So you go in there, but you obviously have your sense of duty and pride. So you're like, same with my family. They're all the males in my family that I know were all in the military, all the way back to Vietnam, World War II. So that was wild. Even on my wife's side, it was pretty crazy. And
that's a funny story that you said that, the wife's side. So my great grandfather was in World War II.
Yeah.
And then when I meet my wife, we're talking and she was like, oh, my great grandfather was in World War II. So we start talking, but she's German.
Yeah. Oh.
Come to find out he was on the other side. And I was like, well, I kind of hope my granddaddy killed your granddaddy.
Yeah, it was funny. So my wife's grandfather, he just passed. a couple of years ago. But he lied about his age, got into the Army, and then he was a baker at the time. They asked him if he could type, and he said, yeah, I can type. So they shipped him off to Attu, Alaska as a typist. So he did his duty over there because, you know, it was the closest to the European front from the United States.
Yeah.
And he did his time at 16 years old as a typist. And it was funny. Anytime you talk to him, he's like, I'm not a World War II vet. And it's like, yeah, you are. Everybody
Them
served.
fingers put in work, bro. Somebody's got to do it.
He's like, it's not what I signed up to do. But I
was like, my grandfather, the same thing. He lied about his age to join the Marine Corps and went to Korea at 16 as well. So
yeah, that f***ed him up the whole way through life. Like I think Social Security, he could collect early, even though it wasn't his right birthday.
Yeah.
Like it really screwed things up, and at some point in time, he had to get it fixed. But back to what I was saying, so we were talking about, getting into the military. It's kind of like last resort, even it could be a first resort, sense of pride and duty. And then, honestly, the camaraderie, the adventure, it was wild. It was like my first chance on my own, and it was funny when the drill instructors were like, all right, you guys get to fill out your dream sheet. And I was like, I don't know if you guys got to.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And he's like, he had a list of where everybody was from. And he goes, I better not see a duty station on here that's close to your home. So I put in like Guam, Puerto Rico, Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, like all the places I could. And I ended up in Key West, Florida. But
funny.
yeah, where'd you put it? What was your
Germany?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And you were originally born in Germany.
So my dad was stationed in Germany when I was born.
So you wanted to relive it a little bit?
It was just, kind of wanted to go back. I left there when I was a kid, and then kind of just wanted to go back, and something about it. If I had to choose, I didn't want to do anything stateside. Obviously, I've heard stories about, you're 18, you're new private, you can't go out to the bar, you can't do anything. But in Europe, completely different story. So. Yeah,
and we can go on this if you want, but I did a little research on you, and it's crazy, but you have 3 bronze stars.
Yeah.
That's no small feat. 1 bronze star, never mind 3.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, just put in gnarly situations, and you got to come out of it the right way. There was only one option for me, and there's so many guys that have done crazier than me. I don't ever think about anything like I'm not cool at all. I don't think, most of the time you meet guys and they're like, yeah, I was Delta Force this and that. I was like, no, I was just regular infantry dude, man. Like we was just walking and gunning, bro.
Well, it's actually funny because we bust each other's balls and stuff like that, but it's for the listeners, I was in the Coast Guard and you were in the Army, and there's like this level of hierarchy and we bust each other's balls. So I don't actually like to talk about my service a lot in front of other service members because I don't feel like I could hold a candle to half the guys out there.
Yeah.
But what's humbling about a lot of these guys in the military is it's like a pecking order. Guys like you, who I couldn't hold a candle to, you're like, nah, dude, I don't even want to talk about it because there's somebody out there doing bigger and badder shit than me. So it doesn't matter how big and bad shit you are, there's somebody out there that's doing bigger and badder stuff.
Exactly.
But no, obviously, thank you for your service.
No, thank you, man.
A lot of guys put in that situation, especially in our age. And they bunch of fighters. They say we're nowadays that we're softer than we were. What was it? World War II vets. What were they called? Greatest Generation?
Yeah.
That's downplaying some of the guys there. Come on,
for sure.
I think
it's collectively as a whole. Like if you the broader horizon of that, there's not
but there's still that fighting spirit, and a lot of guys may not have fought for reasons that they wanted to fight for, but they always fought for their brothers. So,
100%.
That was cool,
and that's what it's all about.
And then fast forward a little bit, you talked about the GI Bill. So what made you get out?
Just my last deployment in Afghanistan. I was with 158 Scout Snipers, and it was just not a good deployment for me. Came back, drudged up more that happened to me in Iraq, and then I kind of I lost it for 2 years when I got home.
Really?
So dipped out, moved to Mexico, left the fam bam life and all that.
How'd you get yourself out of that?
I got arrested.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Happens a lot.
Yeah. So it kind of straightened me out, and It was just right at the time my son was born, and nothing ever compared to being a father for me.
Yeah.
Like, to this day, this is all I live for. This is all I do everything in my life for, is for these kids. So I think it really was the kids, and then my family support structure kind of just, get your head out of your ass. That shit happened over there,
Yeah.
But it was good. I have a really good friend support group as far as veterans go, and then I do a lot of work with the Warrior Built Foundation.
Yeah.
And those guys are always, ready to lend a ear if you're in a situation or need some help. But that was a long time ago. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good now.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's also okay to not be good, and it doesn't.
Oh, for sure.
And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level of shit you were in. People are always dealing with shit, and it's okay to ask for help. And that's, that was what was great about the military is if you were with a good group of guys. There are a couple of bad areas or bad groups I was with at some point in time, but like majority of my tours in the Coast Guard, I had a good support group, guys that I still talk to every day. There's a kid that said something questionable on Facebook, and there's about 15 guys that I haven't talked to, all of a sudden texting each other going, dude, this dude all right? And then 2 guys drove down to New Jersey, check him out, see if he was doing well. And guys I haven't talked to in 15 years, but it was like,
it doesn't matter.
It was like yesterday, and
that's too cool.
Yeah, dude, it is, and it's good to see the you sticking with it and helping others. So walk me through some of that. Like, what are you doing for these foundations?
Yeah, so really just anything I can do personally, like on a volunteer level, or anything like coordination, anything like linking up specific companies to help out, as well as just engraving. A lot of my engravings I do for certain events, and then we'll raise money for it for specific charities, or I'm involved with the West Valley Mavericks Foundation, which is like a philanthropy group here in the West Valley. And it's literally just a group of local leaders and kind of men who have their together, and we do so much for specifically the local community here, but I do as much as I can for the veteran community. And we were doing a kind of a PTSD art therapy with the super brain fart right now. Anyway, I totally forgot the organization. It's one of the biggest organizations there are for veterans.
Wounded Warriors?
Yeah, Wounded Warriors. Yeah. Jesus. And we haven't done it in a while, but I would take 6 or 8 veterans, and we kind of do a weekend course about just basic engraving and kind of just getting them to shut their mind off completely and just focus on the task at hand. And it really helps with, people's PTSD kind of like triggers. They know that there's something they can go focus on and kind of shut everything else out. And then we've had guys take over and kind of do it on the sides, doing Yetis and stuff. You know what I mean? Making a cool little living out of it. So.
Now I'm going to jump ahead just because it's following the path. We'll come back. Does that help you?
It did. No, really? For sure. Yeah, it did. So yeah, after I got back from Mexico, it was kind of, what do I do now? So I used the GI Bill. I first went to welding school. Yeah. I completed my combination welding course there. And I literally, that's when I picked up the Dremel for the first time. It was kind of working with metal. I made a surfboard for my son, and my instructor told me to write my name on it, and there happened to be a Dremel there. And something in my head was like, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah. So. And then
all right, so you went from picking up a Dremel and liking what you do to how do you happen upon this? I mean, there's a lot in between.
There's definitely a lot in between, a lot of hours. It really just started for me. It was right around Christmas time, hella broke at the time. So I was like, I'm gonna make mom and dad some engraved signs or something, and I really just started doing small little projects, little household stuff that I look at now and I'm like, I can't believe you did that, bro. So, but it's always cool to see kind of the progression and where I've gone. And really just from there, man, just start blasting shit on social media and companies picking stuff up and kind of doing all the shows that I really could.
So were you doing that as a full-time job, or were you still welding?
No, not at all. No. So I was still welding. I was actually a grinder before I even started welding. You know what I mean? It's one of those start at the bottom jobs. And I was doing that. I really wasn't happy. I was kind of doing the engraving on the side at nights or whatever. Ended up that's when I moved to Florida to do diving school. Yeah. And still kind of doing the engraving there as well. Yeah. And then after I finished that school, I knew that that's what I wanted to do full time and kind of put all my effort into every single day.
No.
Yeah.
So what landed you here in Arizona?
This is family for me.
Okay.
So yeah, no, Arizona's like home.
Okay.
So grandparents, my wife's parents live down the street. Like my dad lives 10 minutes away. So
And then you set up this shop. When'd you build this shop?
yeah, so got the house about 6-7 years ago, and then about a year after that. So because we were in a commercial spot with my buddy Troy from FX Auto Body, and then just to travel, so much travel, and then when people would come into the studio, it'd be like, all right, we could talk, but now I'm not working.
Yeah.
And kind of didn't make sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I absolutely love it, man. Just
And then this is full swing. This is like, all right, I got Hank Robinson engraving up and running, and you kind of, are you gonna take somebody on at any point?
no, I've probably brought on 3 apprentices.
Really?
Yeah, throughout the years, and I don't know if I just have a weird work ethic to where I'll go all night if I need to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like on a repetitive basis. But there's definitely talented artists out there that can do what I do for sure. I have no doubt about that. Just for me, I think just solo is where I need to be and kind
Yeah.
of focus on. It was almost one of the business plans was, run it like a tattoo shop. Like I got a guy that does traditional. I got a guy that does this, and really just the more built the brand and kind of just doing all the traveling. It's just without me, it doesn't work. So just keep it real by myself, man.
So we did a little walk and talk prior to this, and we went through some of the pieces. But what's one of the most challenging pieces you've done that you're like, what the f***? Like, am I even gonna be able to accomplish this? Or are you time crunch? Like, walk us through that.
Probably my first truck.
Really?
So yeah, my first full truck was Freedom Blues, and that was a 150. It was the second year they came out with the all aluminum body. So
Yeah.
like it was already in my head. I'd already done like some hoods and other car parts that were aluminum, and I just knew in my head that I could do it, and it could be just the first of anything that's ever been seen before. And we pulled it off.
Wow. How long did that take you to do?
So I probably had 1,800 hours of engraving in that. And then, I mean, it's full custom build. So literally everything on and off.
Yeah.
It's about the same thing. It was probably like 7-8 months for the full build. And then I
shit.
finished the engraving live at SEMA throughout that week that year.
Yeah.
And that was just awesome, which that was the first time engraving live on a vehicle, and I didn't bring anything, and somebody had a bucket, and that's what I was rocking with, man.
That's what it's about.
There's some pictures right there. So we're coming full circle right now. The bucket is home for me. We are good.
Well, that's actually pretty interesting. The amount of automotive work you do. I'm surprised you actually don't have a lift in here.
Yeah, that was we talked about it, and I have a buddy who has a real shop, and with real tools and all the that really needs to be done. So I'm more of the helper when it comes to that aspect. I'm definitely not the leader on the mechanic portions of vehicles. So
I figure as you get older, you're gonna have to have it up so that you're not crouched over all the time doing it. Hell yeah.
That definitely was a thought, man. I was like, dude, we could put a little 2-post, we could put a 4-post in here.
Yeah.
I was like,
Factor. At what point in time were you like, I've either this up or the customer's gonna be pissed? What's your biggest?
a few times in the early years for sure. Just I was not good at portraits for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just, there's really no shading you can do with the type of engraving that I do. You're working with one solid color, and then I have to remove that. So it's a negative.
Yeah.
And I have no shading whatsoever. So it's just aluminum lines all the way down. And I messed some people's faces up for sure. Misspelled some words for sure.
No regrets.
Exactly.
Well, it's actually pretty funny that you say that, because you're hyper fixated, but a lot of these pieces anyway, you see the whole picture when you step back.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
When you're up on it, is it a lot harder to see the whole picture?
For sure. It's definitely a come in and out kind of scenario all the time, and kind of just make sure proportions are correct.
Right.
But that's really what I want to do, especially with the vehicle engravings, is make it so like at afar, you're kind of like, what is that? And then you get a little closer and you're like, oh shit.
Right.
When you're really close, you're kind of confused, and it makes you want to, just guide your eye to make you want to kind of go all the way around and see all the details.
Yeah, because that's a good point that you bring up. Like tattoo artists, there's like portrait is a specialty for a lot of tattoo artists. So
For sure.
it's kind of cool that you had to learn that and get really good at it.
Yeah, I went to art school after I got back from.
Dude, how many schools did you go
I
to?
used my GI Bill to the max. To the max.
Yeah, you were on. What'd you have? post 9/11.
Yeah, post 9/11 and some other shit. I opted in base, or I did something and got like a booster or something like that
well,
too.
no, I think when we got out, we had Montgomery.
Yeah.
And then it switched over to post 9/11, and then now it's like forever GI Bill. So yeah, I was able to go.
Whatever it is, I ain't got it no more. I used every single ounce of that.
Yeah. I was. Did you get the BAH when you were?
When I was going to art school,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was short lived.
Yeah.
I did like a couple semesters there, and I was out.
Well, what'd you take for art school? Art classes?
It was literally just all the basics. So it was like perspective and contours, and it was really the basics. And it was a lot of typography.
Okay.
It just wasn't my vibe at all. Like everybody, there's so many, like a lot of talented people in there, and then you've got some old man coming to critique your shading on your apple. I just wasn't with the vibe. I was like, nah.
So
I got better to do in my life.
So that's I guess you can go down a rabbit hole of art. But how'd you get associated with Monster?
Dude.
Because it's funny because Monster's niche is athletes,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
yeah, there's never been an engraver.
Right.
At Monster,
right.
for
I see
sure.
them branch out and awesome. Great for them. That bringing in some makers, they're bringing in some different type of musicians.
Yeah,
So they're really
musicians.
covering the gamut. But like, was that like work your way in, or you got a phone call and you're like, oh shit?
It
Like,
very much was a work my way in.
Yeah.
So I ended up meeting one of the big wigs at Monster at an event, got his card, and probably for 8 months, every 2 weeks or so, like if I had a magazine cover drop or like a big project, I'd kind of give him just like a brief email review every 2 weeks or every month for almost a year.
Yeah.
And then finally got the call and was like, I really think that the lifestyle brand that you portray fits exactly in. And it really does, man. This will be my 7th year with Monster, and it's
crazy.
It's family for sure.
Yeah, they stick behind their people, and that's amazing. You know, getting to meet some of the athletes and just the people in the Monster Energy circle is like family.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So once you got the hat, you were like, yeah.
Dude, it's on like Sean. So, and we get to do a bunch of crazy events, and like that's the first time I never was a bull riding fan or any just didn't know. My name's Hank, but I'm not a cowboy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were at SEMA one year, and one of the Monster girls was there, and she was like, "Hey, you guys want to come to PBR?" And I was like, "I'll go watch some bulls. Let's go." And went down, fell in love, and it's just the most phenomenal sports.
So the way Hank looks, we're at PBR World Finals. This is hysterical. So Mac goes, there's Cowboy Cerrone. And I was like, oh, cool. And then next to the Cowboy is him. And I was like, what fighter's that? And he goes, I don't know. I go,
I get
he
that.
looks like a fighter.
I get that every time me and Cowboy are chilling. Somebody's always, and I take it. I'm like, hell yeah. I was like not a chance. But.
No, but it was funny. And then when I went back and I went through Monster's website, and I was just trying to put a name to the face, and then I saw you and I was like, that is not what I anticipated him being.
Yeah.
And after that, I love the work, and like I said, we got to meet a handful of times, but this is my first time sitting down with you and actually vibing on this. So I'm like a kid in a candy store because this is great.
I love it.
But yeah, what's next for Hank?
Dude, summer's gonna be crazy for sure. So SLS skateboard Miami.
Yeah.
I'm doing Incarceration in Ohio at the Mansfield Penitentiary. It's like a huge 3-day rock festival. I'm doing all this shit with Big 3 again this year. Ice Cube's basketball league. That's a summer league. That's so fun, man.
Now is that Incarceration? Is that because I know you did a piece for Jelly Roll? Is he's involved with that?
No. Yeah, so Incarceration is strictly through Monster.
Yeah.
They're gonna do a tattoo festival or whatever you want to call it at the same time as the concert.
Yeah.
So Monster's got the tattoo portion. So I'll be over there kind of just doing live demo as well as doing some guest judging for the tattoos of the day.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And how cool was that with Jelly Roll and Machine Gun?
Jelly is so cool, man. So cool.
Is he as he portrays himself? Just down to earth?
Even more.
Oh, yeah?
Even more. For sure. So I first met him at Cowboys Ranch. I was at Cowboys. I did a piece for Jelly, and he was already going to go. He had a show in Albuquerque, so he was already going to be there. So we kind of all just made it happen together.
Yeah.
I got to present the engravings to him, and then me and Cowboy went to the show afterwards, like behind the tour bus.
Yeah.
It was super cool, man. But Jelly is, I've met him a few times, and every time it's the most hospitable person.
He's not above it.
God, we chiefed up in the RV for like 4 hours. I don't know how this man performed after that because I was done.
I mean, it's just years of practice.
Exactly.
I guess. That's wild.
I was like, when in Rome, let's go.
So if you can divulge, do you have any cool pieces you're doing coming up, or?
I do have some secret stuff that I can't talk on,
Yeah.
which kind of sucks. I hate doing that.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's how you know business is good.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll be out at PBR finals coming up too. So I've got some stuff for Jose we're gonna get down with, and I'm excited for that, man. That's gonna be so fun.
Yeah. And you said you got kids, right?
Yep.
They out here with you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Any of them good?
Nah, my middle daughter, Azalea, is a phenomenal artist, like a beast artist. I let her tattoo me 3 weeks ago.
No
off her drawing, she did her name's Azalea, so she did the little Azalea flower, drew it out, stenciled it up, tattooed me right here in the shop.
No
clean, bro.
Where is it?
Right here on my thigh up here. Yeah.
I'm not gonna make you take your pants off.
Hey, Brunt's gotta cash that check before these come down. I'm just saying. There is a price. There is a price, though. I'm just saying.
That was actually another. I'm glad you went there. Do you tattoo yourself?
Absolutely not. Never in my life have I picked up a machine. All 3 of my kids have tattooed me.
Really?
They're 12, 14, 15,
Yeah.
you know, and that's almost how I started. At the time when I started engraving, I was living with the owner of the Country Legends truck, Justin.
Yeah.
Literally living on his couch, and he's been a tattoo artist for 30 years now, you know, and that's my whole group was tattoo artists.
And you never picked up the gun?
No, not once.
Do you think you could do it?
I think I could.
Yeah.
I think I would be like the most hammered down person now, just because I worked with metal for
Just
so
all
long.
scars.
Exactly. I was like, it's probably not going to feel too good. Yeah, but maybe one day I'll give it a shot.
What's holding you back from doing
Nothing.
it? It's not even on your bucket list?
It's probably on there. It's just not something in my forefront right now.
Yeah.
Like, what if I fall in love with it and then I got to choose between metal and skin? I like metal. No bleeding, no.
Yeah.
I can work on it when I want to.
Yeah. You could replace a door if you really
You know what I mean?
Shit.
There's always the laser.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did a few years of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I had, when I was in Mexico, I mean, I had my whole head and everything blasted, but I had letters up here, I had underneath here, I had all down my sides, and I did like 3 years of laser to take those off.
So actually, I know it's a little personal, but clean cut, military, you know, nothing below the sleeves, all that stuff. Why the transformation?
So I had pretty much everything to here. So as long as it wasn't showing in your class A, so I pretty much had everything starting. I mean, my first tattoo was 16 and then just went from there. So especially in Germany, man, my boy Johnny was out there tattooing and we was getting it.
What made you do the head?
Kind of just running out of room, to be honest. I don't know what I was thinking at the time as far as, it's gonna be badass.
Yeah.
I mean,
We fit the bill.
I'm rocking with it. Yeah. I'd probably change a few things. I would change what I tattooed versus where the placement of them as. That's the only kind of regrets that I have now, kind of just getting older into it and be like, man, maybe those 17-year-old decisions weren't the right ones. You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I got some pretty bad tattoos, and that's one of those things that, like, you're gonna regret that? No, it's part of who I am.
It's my story.
Point. Exactly.
Yeah, it's my story.
Everywhere I went, I got a different tattoo, and it brings up a different memory. So even though it looks like dog shit, it's still, you know, it's something that I like.
You know what I mean? I like it.
Yeah.
I was like, I just got some work done on my leg a couple weeks ago, and my wife's been bugging to get me to get her name, but her name's Christine.
Yeah, you're not gonna do it.
And I asked all the kids. I was like, we watch funny movies is our you know what I mean? So the Christineth from Will Ferrell. Yeah. Your boy got Christineth.
Hey, that's a hack. That's
you
a hack.
say my wife's name right. But I asked all the kids, I was like, what should it be? Should it be Christine or should it be Christina? Then all 3 of them were like, 100% Christina. Then I was like,
she's standing over there watching us.
She's always behind me, man. None of this happens without her, dude. She does all the contracting work, all the finance stuff, all the like literally everything. I handle social and I handle the work itself. So
you handle social? You shoot all that stuff and edit it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Sometimes we'll have some dudes. You know, sometimes I'll have like the photographer or the videographer guys come in and do some special stuff if it's a cool project. But yeah, for the most part, man, it's just me and my camera in here. And
No shit.
Solo dolo.
And it's gotten better and better.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's only climbing up, man. I'm just getting started too. So I got big plans.
Yeah, how old are you?
I got big dreams. 42.
42.
Yeah, your boy getting old. I'm starting to get the grays and shit.
Yeah, I turned 40 this year, so which doesn't feel that old.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be old, like just old. Just walking around cussing people out.
Yeah. So outside of this, what do you do for fun?
Literally, my kids are in sports, so I do nothing of the fun at all.
Yeah.
Every single day. Like my daughter and my son are pretty competitive in basketball. They're 8th grade and freshman year.
Yeah. They got your height?
Yeah, my 14-year-old daughter's 6'2" with shoes on, so she's 6'1", and my son's about to creep over me right now, and he just turned 15,
How
and
tall are
I'm
you?
6'4". Oh, so hopefully they're gonna keep going, and then kind of have a future for them. But they're really into it, man. So it's literally 5 days a week they're at practice, and then we've got games and tournaments on the weekends, and we travel. Like we're my daughter and my son. We're going to Vegas, Cali, Chicago, like all through the summer. Like
it's wild,
pretty gnarly what they're doing.
These travel teams nowadays is just out of control. Yeah,
I live that life. I live that life.
So I get the motorhome.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So yeah, just following the kids around. I mean, that's
we got them. Like, you know, I mean, my wife talked about it. Like, obviously hanging with friends and kind of doing what we do. But we'll get away every once in a while. We just got back from El Salvador not too long ago.
How was that?
Me and I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Never been there.
I ended up winning it. Like I bid on something at a golf event we were doing, and it was a trip to El Salvador, and I was like, I guess I was drinking that night, bro. Yeah. I picked like Costa Rica or something, but we'd never been there, and it's literally the most beautiful country. The people are fantastic, man. I just rented a car and kind of drove the whole countryside, so it was super cool. Yeah, dope beaches.
Never been there. I did Costa Rica and Panama, but
I love me some Costa Rica.
Yeah. Well, Golfito was great, and then we did the Gulf of America side.
America, yeah.
I'll put Gulf of Mexico in there just in case you have to clip it out. But
I think it should be Marico. Gulf of Marico.
But yeah, the Puerto Limon, we pulled in there. We were doing counter narcotics, and we had a couple of buddies get beat up and robbed, and it was that side was not good, but Pacific side was great. Yeah, it was very hospitable, great people. But yeah, I got something in my head about the Gulf of Mexico side being a little testy. I'm not going back. Let's just put it that way.
But like we go to Rocky Point's like 3.5 hours from here, so we go to Mexico all the time, and just still people are like, oh my god, are you gonna go? And I'm like, if you're not buying Coke at 3 a.m. from a sketchy dude, everything's gonna be okay. You hang out, you treat people with respect, and life's pretty good, regardless of where you are.
What did they say? When I was in Colombia, it was like, great place, even the cops will rob you. I was like, it was awesome. And I had the best time of my life in Colombia, and the cops held us at gunpoint. A kid from Arizona actually spoke Spanish, and tall dude, and he just started yelling at the cop, and they let us go. But we just walked out of the ATM. He pulled up on a dirt bike and started yelling at us. Yeah, exactly. We were just getting out of a cab. 2 white guys were like, "Oh, we're." Yeah, no, that was a wild time.
I wish $100 could get you out of trouble here, though. Sometimes, you know what I mean? Like a couple's me over here. I'm just like, dude, if I slide him a couple hundred, do you think? Not a chance.
Yeah, he's like
Mexico. I'm like, oh yeah, this happened. We're going away. We're fine. We'll be all right.
So, what's the biggest thing on your bucket list?
Dude, for me right now, so I've been talking with a couple boat manufacturers, and for me, I want to do like Freedom Blues 2. So my first truck that I did was Freedom Blues, and it was just dedicated to all
F-150.
Yeah, the F-150, fully engraved, and it was just all OIF, OEF kind of inspired. So kind of what I want to do is do a Freedom Blues 2 with a boat. Okay. So my dream would be a Pavati, all aluminum body, just a sexy machine, and just have maybe like an Army, Air Force truck, Marine, Navy boat, and just I can see it going down the freeway right now and hitting the water.
Forget the Coast Guard.
Oh yeah, we gonna put the coasties in the back.
Just on the life ring.
I literally left that off just to see if you'd say something, bro.
Well, now we get to make fun of the
Everybody
Space Force.
forgets about the Coast Guard.
Well, now we get to make
Everybody does.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's been my entire service. Was just like, what do you do? Where are you stationed?
Dude,
Like,
I know some of those guys that are on those crazy teams that are literally in the way more than any other brand. They're out there like gunning in the middle of the ocean, man.
Yeah, for us, it was cool. We were kind of somewhere in between because I was on a ship. My normal day was being a mechanic, and then you have like, you know, hits the fan. You're also a firefighter. But then we did counter narcotics and alien immigration. And so that was cool because like every now and again, the alarm would go off and you'd go deploy a helicopter and go chase after drug runners. And that was exhilarating. We chased after some pirates at one point in time. These poor bastards. I can't remember where they came from, but I think they were going to Galveston, Texas. So a husband and a wife, you know, probably from Cali, went through the Panama Canal in a sailboat, and they're being chased by pirates in the Caribbean. It wasn't like what you would think they would be, but the minute this big white boat showed up, they went away. But yeah, the whole time we're like just steaming towards them to go chase pirates. I was like, dude, this is gonna be great. We're gonna go get pirates.
It's the best day ever.
And then it was anticlimactic. But yeah, so the teams you're talking about actually was during my service that we finally, I think we had 2 or 3 Coast Guardsmen go through SEAL training.
Yeah.
And then I guess once you go through SEAL training, you kind of strip your service and you join the SEAL team itself.
Yeah.
So they went off to a SEAL team and yeah, but the I forget what they were called.
It's like SWIC team or something. Oh,
Yeah,
it's Navy.
no.
Even the Coast Guards forget about the Coast Guards, bro.
Yeah,
This is
well,
how-
it
this
was
is-
like literally they drove these boats right. They trailer the boats right onto the back of these C-130s, and they go everywhere. Yeah, now I'm having a brain fart.
right. It happens to the best of us, man.
But yeah, it was like our special forces, and they'd go out and, you know, do high interest vessels and drop in, do boardings, hostage negotiations, stuff like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, and then sipping a Mai Tai on the beach later that night somewhere.
Fantastic stuff.
Should have went another route, bro.
Dude, that was.
I picked up a Dremel and messed up my life, bro.
Well, it's funny. I mean, we were talking about it before. I mean, it's funny when you have parents who have been through it, the whole military process, because you could have a good experience, you could have a bad experience. I mean, and then obviously there's the conflict part, but like there are ways to get set up in the military, and all it takes is like a mentor.
For sure.
And my dad again walked me down, was like, no, we're not doing this. He goes, Army, Navy, and this is our situation. He's like, I don't want you to be a number. He goes, when I was in the Marine Corps, you know, and obviously I'm listening to his advice through his lens, but he was
For
like,
sure.
small knit service, like it was a little different. He goes, when I was in the Navy, so he was in the Navy prior to that. He was like a radarman, and he was just on a big ship. And he was like basically a number.
Yeah,
So he's like, I'm not going to do that to you. So he wanted small service, and yeah, pointed me to the Coast Guard. I was like,
more
yeah.
personable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it. And he goes, the other thing that he had a problem with was, now this is in the 80s. When you get out of the military, at least in that time, nothing transferred. Now the military is doing a good job. You know, guys are getting out and getting their CDLs without having to take the classes, or some of their certifications are now actually transferring over, which they didn't before. And so here he is, a helicopter crew chief with hours of flight time, and he can't get a job in the aviation field.
Horrible.
And so he ends up in corrections. So he's at a jail for 20 years where he retired. So he was like, you got to have a job in the military that actually transfers. Yeah, exactly. But now they've done a lot better with that. And now they're really helping a lot of these veterans, you know, cross that gap from active duty to civilian life.
sure.
Yeah. So that's good. And it's only going to get stronger and stronger. So
Yeah, you learn so much that definitely just comes full force on the other side. Like my military service, I could clean up some civilian company real quick.
Right. It was funny because like I used my GI Bill to go to automotive school, but like the amount of mechanical knowledge I had from the military, I actually sold myself short. I could have gone right into the field.
Yeah.
And here I am paying 20 grand. Granted, the GI Bill helped me out there, but I'm paying 20 grand to learn the that I learned already
Yeah.
in the military to get a piece
You're
of
like,
paper.
I'm teaching these guys stuff right now, bro.
Yeah, so it's like obviously, you know, do the best you can with the money but don't shortchange yourself, because there's a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that you learn from the military.
For sure.
Yeah. So I mean, that pretty much wraps it up.
Let's go.
Yeah. Anything you want to shout out?
Dude, just everybody that supported me so far. Nothing but love and respect, man. To my family, I love you guys, and hopefully me and Brunt gonna be do some cool shit soon, man.
Yeah.
We'll
We
get
gotta
it
get
done.
something going. All right. Well, thanks.
We'll make it
brother.
happen, my man.